Okay. So good afternoon, everyone. It is my great pleasure to welcome all of you to today's APIT Lab Pillar guest talk session. We are honored to have with us Dr. Tilak De Silva, a distinguished figure in the fields of information and communication technology. Dr. Tilak brings with him over 3 decades of experience in IT and communication, with extensive exposure across engineering, IT, and the global telecom business. Throughout his illustrious career, he has held a number of prominent roles, including Chief Global Officer, Chief Network Officer, Head of IT, Head of Information Security, Advisor to the CEO on Technological Strategies, and Chief Business Innovation Officer at Sri Lanka Telecom. He also served as the CEO of SLT Hong Kong, a subsidiary of SLT. In addition to his industry leadership, Dr. Tilak is an academic and a specialist in network security and cybersecurity, with a strong passion for developing technological frameworks tailored to real-world challenges. His academic credentials are equally impressive. He holds a BSc in Electronics and Telecommunications Engineering from the University of Moratuwa, a Master's in Data Communication from Brunel University, UK, and a PhD in Information Technology from Sri Lanka Institute of Information Technology. He is a chartered engineer, a chartered IT professional, and a fellow of several prestigious bodies, including the Institution of Engineers Sri Lanka, Institution of Engineering and Technology UK, British Computer Society, and a senior member of the IEEE USA. On a personal note, I'm especially excited to welcome Dr. Tilak, as I had the privilege of being one of his students in the wireless communication technology module during my master's in IT. Today, he will be sharing insights on a critically important and timely topic, framework to overcome the challenges in the implementation of ICT in public sector, developing countries perspective. Please join me in warmly welcoming Dr. Tilak De Silva.
Good afternoon, everybody. I think you can hear me, no? Can you hear?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. Okay, thank you very much for giving this opportunity of doing the presentation to you about my thesis, actually mainly that topic. I'll share my document with you first. Okay, let me. Can you see my screen? It's okay. No?
Teams. Teams. Teams.
Teams
Then
already linked. I want this one. Okay, first I'll get ready for this one. Excuse me for a few minutes to get ready. check whether I can. What you can see now? Presentation. Now. Oh, this one. Okay. Right. Okay, let's start now. Right. My topic is framework to overcome the challenges in the implementation of ICT in public sector, developing countries' perspective. Here, this is the PhD research. This the topic I did. I would like to share my experience with my research with you. And when you are doing the research, what are the areas to be mainly considered? I have some acknowledgements when I am doing this thesis, this research. These are the people I would tackle. You can see the many high-level people are there. Former chairman ICTA and Controller General of Department of Immigration, Commissioner General of the RMV, because I personally met them and I get some information from them for my analysis purposes. The background and motivation, why I wanted to do this kind of research. So in fact, I am from the industry. So I had more than 3 decades experience in Sri Lanka Telecom. So I was the head of IT, head of security, head of network, and many posts I held. The IT systems in Sri Lanka actually I initiated. So I implemented the HR system, finance system, billing system, stores and inventory control systems. So I thought this experience, what I gained from there, to use this one practically for the betterment of the country. So I want to do it in a methodical way, the research way, and give it as a gift to my country. That's for the main purpose behind my research. Because the many e-government projects fail me to expected outcomes. So the e-government, ICT in the public sector means the mainly e-government. So many e-government projects are not achieve the expected outcomes. E-government projects are crucial for providing efficient and transparent services from government institution to citizens. So the e-government will make a good service between the citizens and the government. But more than that, I will explain some other areas also there. The researcher has extensive experience in implementing highly successful IC projects in Sri Lanka Telecom. You can refer the annual report 2017 there. So the researcher aims to serve the nation by providing a framework to overcome the challenges faced by current e-government projects, thereby ensuring their successful implementation and achievement of expected outcomes. When you go to the historical context, Sri Lanka, the SINTEC, that was the Council for Information Technology, it was formed way back 1990s. So actually, I was the DGM IT of Sri Lanka Telecom in 1993. I was appointed. I was a member of this council, and Professor Samaranayaka, he is the head of this council. He was everybody knows about him, the Colombo University, the founder of the computing school. And the first e-government project we started actually, that is called the Asikuda Plus Plus. Still it is used in the customs, very successful. Those days the technology also not very very developed, but still we could use this one. Then the transition to ICTA, Syntec restructured into ICTA with more authority. So in 2003, actually this one happened, and the ICT Agency of Sri Lanka. There were a lot of expectation from this ICTA. They wanted to have all e-government system within 5 years. And Professor Rohan Samarji was the founding chairman of this organization. But that was very ambitious. 5 years, within 5 years, you cannot have the good e-government systems in Sri Lanka. Research gap. Many studies explore challenges in e-government projects, but few focus on Sri Lanka. So this was the biggest challenge I had. When I wanted to collect literatures, so there are no Sri Lankan perspective researchers. The most other countries, Sri Lankan e-government project success rate is about 10%. So need for research to propose a critical framework for Sri Lanka. See, the 10% means it's just wasting of public funds also. Something wrong there. If the 10%, only 10% is successful. But most of the countries also like that. Research problem. Sri Lankan government's ambitious goal to implement all e-government systems within 5 years, starting from ICT's establishment in 2003, has led to many incomplete and unsuccessful projects, wasting public funds and failing to achieve expected targets. Research aim, develop and present a comprehensive and practical framework specifically designed for Sri Lanka's unique context to address prevalent challenges in ICT implementation in the public sector. This framework is specifically prepared to Sri Lankan context. Research objectives. So these are the objectives. I'm not going to read one by one. Key challenges I see, understand the obstacles, evaluate existing framework for their suitability to Sri Lanka, collect data from e-government projects, develop a framework based on gathered information, validate the framework, then finalize the framework. There are a lot of benefits from this research. It enhance the public's services, reducing bureaucratic delays and improving delivery, then increase accessibility to public services. A lot of benefits are there. These are some more benefits. The scope. Develop a comprehensive framework to address and overcome the challenges associated with e-government projects. This framework will focus on ensuring successful implementation and achieving the expected outcomes. The framework will be specifically catered to the context of Sri Lanka. I have a special note about this one. When I was selecting the scope, actually I started this research about 5.5 years back. Identify the scope was a big challenge to me. Earlier, I wanted to have the comprehensive framework of developing countries. Then at end of the research, I have to show that how I apply to developing countries, how I can check with the developing countries. Then after thorough study, the scope was reduced to the Sri Lankan context only. When you are doing the research, anybody, you have to identify the scope properly. Otherwise, at the end, if you cannot show that you have completed the scope, so your project may be failed. So therefore, at any research, do the preliminary literature review properly. So literature review means collecting the information as much as possible. When you are doing any work, normally we are doing the literature review. For a normal day, in general life example, if you want to build a house, so we are collecting many information from those who build the houses, and what are the materials in the market, what are the prices, and how much estimated cost for this one, whether I have enough money for this one. If the money is not sufficient, may I reduce the square feet, number of square feet of the house. All these things should be done at the beginning. So therefore, the preliminary literature review of a research is very, very important. Then you can decide your scope also, and you can decide whether the given time frame you can complete this research. So that is one of the important things I want to highlight for everybody who is doing the researches. And literature review, you have to spend a lot of time for the literature review. So as much as possible literature you collected, then you can get a lot of information which is useful to do your research properly. Now, the definition is there. What is e-government? Then the scope. There are mainly 4 areas in the e-government. That is the government to government. That is the that is the maybe the pension department and the identity card department. They are government to government, correct, the organization. They have to communicate. Then the government to citizens. That is the main one we are expecting for the e-government project. The government to business. Government to business means the government itself cannot do projects. So they have to work with the private sector. They have to do the procurement part. So therefore, you have the connection with the business community also. And government to environment, employees. So this is the part normally we forget in many ICT projects. You forget about the employees. If the employees cannot properly use the system, that system will not become a successful system. So most of the ICT projects, they forget about the end users. They never get the information from the end users. So the higher people will decide the specifications, everything, but at the time it is implemented, that is not the system required for the end users. So these things also I have addressed in my research. I studied about the e-government projects in the South Asian countries, these countries, and also the other developing countries. And I selected 2 developed countries about their e-government. Now, these are the common challenges in the e-government projects: insufficient or outdated ICT infrastructure, frequent changes in government leadership. I am not going one by one, but we have to identify what are the challenges in any research also. So, I have started this project with the case studies. When you are doing the project, you can do it different ways. You can do the case studies, you can do the interviews, and you can collect the information and do these things. We have to see which one you do this one. In my case, I selected 3 case studies. Case study 1, it is again another 3 projects. That is the company called VSIS. They did 3 revenue licenses, ETF computerization, and flood ban project. These are the case study 1, my observations. And case study 2, the flood ban project itself, I discussed with the project director, the project manager, what are the his experience with that one. Now these are the case study 2 challenges. Then the case study 3, I discussed the chairman Epic Lanka Private Limited software company. They have vast experience in implementing many e-government projects. So they have many successful projects also. So, but most of the projects were dragged for a long time due to many constraints in the government process and attitude of the employees of the government institutions also. So many incurred financial losses or reduced the expected profit of the project to them. So then the national procurement process also not address the ICT projects. With ICT projects, the present national procurement process is not suitable. Normally, when you are implementing an IT system, just like the building a house, you can give the specifications exactly correct. But software is not like that. At the time of developing, only some parts you can identify. So in the government budget procurement system, it's a fixed budget. So you have to award the tender for fixed amount. But if there are deviations of that one, it's very difficult to get the money for those things. So therefore, that also I address in my framework. These are the policy decision makers to be considered to make the ICT project success. So then the SRS software requirement specification phase challenges and the UAT and technology issues. The case study 3, these are the things we got: efficient project management, streamlined processes, adapt to change in technologies, those things. And then I went to the theory part, studying the theory part. Because since I was from the industry, in the industry people, what they need is when they have the problem, they give a solution. Industry is the full of problem area. So every day different problems are coming, but we give practical solution. But it was not very methodical way we are giving the solutions. But when you are doing the research, it do it a very research methodical way. So I have the advantage now as an industrialist and the academic. Now I know how to solve the problems and also how to methodically research-based analyze and solve the problems after this research actually. Then the data sampling, how I selected my samples. Then I need to study these things. We have the probability sampling, non-probability sampling. Then sampling also different types of sampling, random sampling, systematic, stratified, multi-stage sampling, non-probability one, convenience, judgmental, quarter sampling, snowball sampling. Then after I study this type of the sampling, you can see in the project research how I selected the most appropriate sample for my research. So data collection methods, we can do the surveys. These are actually theory parts. Interviews, observations, focus groups, case studies, document and record review, uh, ethnography, and the extended observation of natural settings. But these things are not relevant to our research. Then after you collection the data, you have to do the data cleansing part. Errors, they are always the collected data is not correct. When you are collecting the data through a questionnaire, the people will sometimes without any uh, seriousness, they just fill some area. Therefore, the collected data should be first you have to purify those things. Therefore, first you have to, whether the errors are there. Then the data integrity, data quality, data standardization, deduplication, validation, correction, all these things we have to do. Then the data validation, especially type validation, whether correct types of formats are there, range and constraint checking. For instance, say age is there, 120 is there, say it's the wrong one. By looking these things, we have to correct this, validate those things. Then the consistency check, uniqueness check, pattern checks, cross-reference checks, mandatory data checks. The data validation, we have to do this. Then the data reliability, verification of data consistency, testing data integrity, assessment of data persistence, load testing. Then the qualitative data analysis. You have the qualitative data analysis, quantitative data analysis. The qualitative data analysis, different methods are there: thematic analysis, content analysis, grounded theory, narrative analysis, like that. Many areas are there, case study analysis. Then when you come to the quantitative data analysis, descriptive statistics, inferential statistics, correlation, regression, chi-squared, ANOVA, time series, factor analysis, these things are there. Then some other is here. Then the research instruments. For the qualitative data analysis, I wanted to find out some software. Normally quantitative data analysis you have, but I research and find several software, QDA, Miner, NVIO, like this. Even the quantitative data analysis, you have this software. So I have selected the QDA Miner. It's the paid software also. And quantitative analysis, I use the SPSS. In my research, I did both qualitative analysis and the quantitative analysis both. Then the data collection, actually this is one challenging part, how to collect data from the government projects already completed. Most of the people are not there who did the project. Some places they don't much happy about giving these things. So the some organization I met the head, but the IT head is not supporting me. So likewise many challenges I have to face. So finally I selected these projects: e-revenue license, e-parliament, e-ETF board, and the RME, the Department of Motor Traffic System. Then the revenue licenses, its online platform covers various vehicle types. This is the details of that project in the e-parliament, these details, these features are there. ETF board, it's a very common one. The most of the people get the ETF. So it has these features. Then the RMB system, these features are there. Then after I selected the projects, I selected what are the framework, because I am going to prepare a new framework. So first I check what are the existing framework. So I studied many frameworks, and finally these frameworks are the little bit okay. These are very useful to my framework, prepare my framework. So that one is the e-government project lifecycle framework, technology organization environment framework, strategy technology organization people environment framework, framework for e-government initiation, and plan, do, check, act framework. So these frameworks I used, and my framework was prepared, getting some input from these frameworks. So earlier I wanted to prepare my complete new framework, but my supervisor told, when you are doing the research, you have to see whether any framework is already available there, and rather than preparing complete new one, get input from these frameworks also. That's why I studied about these frameworks. So these are the details of this framework: e-government project lifecycle framework, TOE framework, STOP framework, e-government initiation framework, and PDCA framework. Okay, that is literature review part. Then I collected a lot of information on the literature review. Then my methodology. This is the methodology of my research. Preliminary data gathering. First I collected some information. Then I expert consultation. For instance, I went to meet at the beginning Professor Rohan Samarjiva. He was the founder, ICTA chairman. Then I get some consultation from him. I am going to do a research like this. So that these are the things I am going to do. Then he gave me very good advisor to this one. Then I met Dr. Chaturani Silla of Moroto University. He is dealing with many e-government projects. So he also gave me some input. Likewise, I consulted many people and get some idea. After that only I select the topic. So those who are doing the researchers or the final year project even, they have to spend some time for the initial part of this one. This is very important. Then after select the domain, then I did some literature review. Then asked to do the case studies. From the case studies, I did the qualitative data analysis. Based on that qualitative data analysis, I prepared the questionnaires. Then collected the data from the questionnaires. I selected some projects, then the data collection, then data analysis, then identify relevant existing framework, development of a new framework, validation of the framework, finalization of the framework. This after developing validation part also very important. Then only you can finalize it. The data sampling. I showed you some theories about the data sampling. I selected these things. For the qualitative data sampling, I used the judgmental sampling. So because the strategically selecting interviewers based on the researcher's expertise. The data from these interviews form the basis for further quantitative analysis. So that was my judgment, because from my experience, I know if I meet these people, I can very good input from these things. And the types of what are the projects I have to select at the beginning, get the qualitative information. So that was my judgment. The sampling method was the judgmental sampling. Then quantitative data sampling, I use the quota sampling. Quota sampling means the e-government project, so many stakeholders are there, but their roles are different. So therefore, I gave a quota, one vendor from each project, one consultant, and one project manager. And management level, 5 users. And end users, 10 users. So that kind of quota I gave, and collected the data accordingly. The data collection for the qualitative data, unstructured interviews, case studies, research papers, journal articles, web portals. Quantitative data, develop a questionnaire based on the outcome of qualitative data analysis. Questionnaire described among different stakeholders as per the qualitative data sampling. Then data analysis part. So data analysis part, I can go to my thesis. It is easy. That is the chapter 4 is the data analysis. Where outcome of the case studies were taken. Then case study 1, case study 2, all these things, I got the outcome. Then the analysis data collected from that that software I told you, that NDA Miner, to validate the qualitative data and the grounded theory was used. The following steps were followed after conducting the interviews: open coding, axial coding. Then after that, we analyze that one and the issues identified. I can show you the theory part also how we did. So this is in my appendix there. Qualitative and the coding parts are there. It's very interesting. So you can write what they say, then you can categorize them for the same categories, and we can give a code and we can give the categories for this one. So accordingly, then I did the analysis here. But you can see the coding frequencies. Then I got the outcomes from there. So what I want to emphasize here is even the qualitative data analysis, you can use a tool and analyze that one. So in that way, so it is very interesting and very methodical. So whatever the things you collected from the case study, I put it here, and after that I gave the code to this and then they categorized it. Then outcomes came like this. Outcome the project success, existing processes, business process reengineering, RFP, budget allocation, then the independent consultant, those areas. Then after that, from these findings and also the finding from the researcher's experience. This is a new thing here. Normally, you collect from the information where it's available or from the case studies. I added this part. I had a lot of experience. From that also I included this one. So I told my supervisor that my experience also I want to include here. So that also okay. Because when you are doing the researches, there is no hard and fast rule. You can do any new things there. Then analysis of quantitative data. Identify what are the hypotheses there. Then the quantitative data, I prepare the questionnaires. Questionnaires are here. Based on that one, the details of the questionnaires are here. Then collected the data. After collecting the data analyzed using the SPSS. So there are 86% involved in giving the data. Now this data collection also very challenging, especially when you go to the end users. They are mainly clerical people like that, management assistants. They don't have much idea about what you are asking. Therefore, I trained the person to go and explain them. What are these in the questionnaires? That person collected he marked in the questionnaires what they say. That was very successful. Then the reliable data you can collect that way. So don't just send the Google form and collect the data, because if you spend much time for collecting data, you can get the reliable data collection. Okay? So the consultants because the 4 projects are there, end users 46, project manager 47, then the user management level 21, vendor 8. So 86 people are there. Then we analyze all these things. Then these are the data distribution, whether the normal distribution were there. We check there, and I put the appendices, how the data distribution is there. When you are putting these things there, it makes some value for your research. And Each one we can say what is the mean value, standard deviation. Then after that, you have to check the data reliability. Data reliability was done from the Cronbach alpha method. So considering the Cronbach alpha. So we got the Cronbach alpha was 0.997. So that is a very good value about this data reliability. The details are there. Then I did the data validation. Data validation. The Cronbach alpha value 0.944 suggests a notable degree of internal consistent other items included in the analysis. This reliability analysis indicates that the items consistently measure the same underlying conduct. Then the correlation parameters. Then the data reliability and data validation. Data validation done. KMO value. Data validation was done from the KMO value. The data validation done considering the KMO value by using the SPSS. So KMO value also came 0.903. So these two parts are very important, data validation and the data reliability. If they are not within within the reliable around 0.9 or 0.8, no point of doing the research after that. So you have to collect the data separately. Okay, after doing all things, I find these things, then I'll go to my framework. This is my framework. Finally, I prepared. I gave this framework the Tilak's framework for effective e-government project implementation. Now, this framework, there are 3 areas: identify the requirement, select developer, then the parallelly user readiness, and after that software development and testing, implementation and operation, check and identify changes. Now all these things are explained here. Identify requirement. What are the things to be identified? You have to identify these things. Explanation from the project, check the fund availability, identify the scope, identify information sources, identify stakeholders. So I'll take one part and explain you since the time is limited. This identify the requirement is very, very important. At the beginning, you have to see what is the scope of your project. Then what are the information sources coming there. So say the passport. For the passport information coming from the national ID. So one source is the national ID. So likewise, we have to identify what are the information sources. Then identify the stakeholders. These projects from the highest level to lowest level, all the stakeholders we have to identify because we have to get the engagement of all these people. We have to get their all contribution. So these days I am doing another project called the Paperless Office for the Urban Development Ministry. So in fact, I go there and meet these people, actually work in these people and get the inputs. So we identify for preparing cabinet papers, lot of papers they are using. They take one cabinet way, they do some correction and give to another person to check like that. So now this process is studied. So another important thing is to review the existing process. So when you are not in the e-government project, any IT projects, you have to identify what is the existing process. That is not documented most of the places. So therefore, you have to get the idea about what is the existing process. Then analyze shortcomings of the existing process. So especially in the government, most of the processes, they started about 40-50 years back. But still they are using the same processes. Then you have to analyze what are the shortcomings of the processes. Then you can see what are the new technologies available, how you can apply these technologies. Then you come to the business process reengineering part, BPR. So maybe the one document go to one person to approve, again go to another person to approve, another person. But these things may be not necessary now. So the one person, the highest person can go use the dashboard and see some information there. And he can get a summary report there rather than checking everything. So the business process re-engineering, we have to do it properly. So the then only you can get the maximum benefit of the project if you do the business process re-engineering. Some projects, they are converting the manual process to the computerized process. Sometimes the manual process is better than that computerized process. Therefore, business process engineering is very important. Then identify the cost components, hardware, software, development cost, according to calculate the estimated cost of the project. Because this project, the government is allocated some money. So we have to see whether this money is sufficient to do this. Therefore, check whether the required funds are available. If not, change the scope of the project for the existing funds. So you can reduce the scope or you can phase out the project. Phase 1, you do only this one, phase 2, do this one, like that. Then change the scope of the for the existing fund. Preparation of the RFP. This is very important one because most of the RFPs, request for proposal or tender documents, are very incomplete. So therefore, when the software developer is going to develop, they don't have much information. So after developing, then they find the areas are not included properly. Therefore, the RFP preparation of RFP is very important. So if it is in detail, we can get a very good system. Then the preparation of RFP, prepare realistic project plan. So likewise, all these things are explained in detail. Even the one by one, it is identify requirement. That is the first one here. You can see the identify the requirements. Identify there. It is explained how to identify the requirements. Expectation from the this is a high level decision. The top management of the company should have an idea about the expectation of the project. Example, pension of government employees. The ultimate objective is to give the pension automated. Then check the fund availability. I explained here. Identify the scope clearly. Likewise, finally, after that, I did this validation of this project. Then the validation was done with 2 projects. So then actually this one project is ETF board project. I went there and I met those people. Then I presented my framework. Then the team was there. Then they showed, okay, you better apply this one. You better include these things. Also, the Parliament project I discussed with the CEO. He was the CEO of ICT at that time. When I was doing the research earlier, it was in charge of the Parliament system. So I did validation. Then after validation, the final framework was prepared. So now this framework can be used. Then in the project, what are the important things? Discussion, proposed framework, these things are there. Identify requirement, key consideration, project scope and budget. Stakeholder involvement, very important. Existing processes, information source processes, business process re-engineering, preparation of RFP, government compliance and security, accurate budgeting, and the readiness assessment, appointment for dedicated project coordinator. This is a new thing I suggested. When you are doing the ICT project in the public sector, there are no people who coordinate with the supplier, developer. So therefore, we have to have dedicated person from the inside who is capable to understand the existing processes, IT, and also the communication capability. So then it is easy. Then we have to pay some appropriate compensation to him. Within the government rules, how we can do that one, it's a challenge. Appointment of an independent consultant. This is all 3 case studies people suggested this one because not like the building. When you give a contractor to build a building, we know exactly what is the plan there. But if there is any changes comes, the we and the contractor both can understand that one. Say new extension comes, then exactly you can calculate how much it goes, then you can pay for that one. But software is not like that. Sometimes the user says, I need this change. To do that change, maybe the internally in the system we are doing a big change. Maybe the database also can complete change. It's a high cost, but the user don't understand that one. But they are insisting that one. So therefore, there should be an independent consultant. He should understand the both parts, the user side and the developer side. He should be independent person and he should have some authority to take the decisions. Then from where we get this independent consultant, we have to train these people. So ICT should these people. Then the tendering process key factors, software development and testing key factors, implementation and operation, monitoring and adjustment, then the interagency collaboration, then the comparison with the previous researchers, I compared that one, and limitations of the study. The literature and data availability is very less. Identify stakeholders of the project, as I told earlier. Many projects over and we cannot find out the stakeholders. Engagement of stakeholders, they are very busy. They're very difficult to get their engagement. These are challenges. Unable to contact the assigned staff. Sometimes I go and meet the head, but the assigned staff is unable to contact. So these are challenges. The conclusion and future work. In order to get the expected result from e-government project, Sri Lanka did not have the required resource persons for e-government project implementation. In this research, an in-depth study was done to explore the reasons. The main problems they faced were not identifying real requirement, existing business processes, these things, and future works. Practitioners engaged in in-government projects are encouraged to engage in thorough examination of the framework presented herein. They can use this framework. This framework, you sometimes you cannot use as it is. You may have to adjust it, customize according to your requirement. For instance, the ISO 27001, that framework, there are so many things. But you have to identify your particular organization, what are the important areas to you. Then you have to use those things. Similarly, there are so many things here, depending on the nature of the project, you can customize to your requirement. Then the recommendation for policymakers, focus area for tendering process. Think about the new tendering process for the ICT projects. So for the government tenders, you have the national procurement agencies there. So they can suggest a method for the ICT projects. Because challenge is while the project is going on, some new changes are required. So therefore, at least for the ICT projects, if that that requirement is addressed and give a process for that one, that will be useful. Then the budget allocation. Ensure adequate and timely budget allocation for e-government initiatives to support the successful implementation and sustainability. Compensation and motivation. This is very important one. Introducing tailored compensation and motivation methods for government staff involved in the e-government project to incentivize their participation and ensure optimal performance. Now, actually, the government problem is if you give incentive to some people, then the another organization also demanding to give that incentive there. But so this is a big problem. Therefore, the semi-government organization, public enterprise department is there. If you want to get an incentive, you have to get the approval from there. But in the normal circumstances, it's difficult to get that kind of the approval. Or normally they say if we give to you, other people also ask these things. But the ICT projects, if they can have some kind of method to give some the compensation for this to motivate these people, that will be useful. Sometimes it is not necessary to be finance only. Sometimes the head of department, if they recognize them, it's a non-financial, that also motivate them. So when a promotion is given, consider these things. That kind of things can be doing. Then the independent consultant establishing a pool of independent consultants. I mentioned about the independent consultant. Where are these people available? We have to form these people, granting them sufficient autonomy and authority in decision-making process related to e-government projects, thereby leveraging their expertise efficiently. Then the legal framework. Develop a legal framework to facilitate the application of the proposed framework. So I'm going to present this to the government. After that, government can say, use this framework. And actually, I have to apply this framework on another 2-3 projects and see what are the further improve. Then after that, government take policy decision, use this framework when applying government e-government projects are doing. Okay, that's all about my research. If you had questions, and I can answer. I hope you get some idea about from my research, practical idea mainly. Okay, thank you.
So thank you very much, Dr. Tilak, for that deeply insightful and thought-provoking talk. So your perspective on ICT challenges in the public sector, especially from developing countries' perspective, has certainly given us a lot to reflect on. So if I may, I'd like to start the Q&A session by asking a couple of questions. So in your view, what is the most common misconception policymakers have when implementing ICT frameworks in the public sector?
One thing is they don't properly identify the requirement. So sometimes they get some aids or some loans from some countries. Because of that, they want to implement that. Sometimes the actual, without analyzing the actual requirement, they implement. Then after that, these people, when the political changes comes or the government changes come, these people leave there. Other people come in, then they don't support to that one. So likewise, this getting held up. The important thing is to identify the requirement properly and also get the engagement of the stakeholders. That is very important. And you have to prepare the RFP properly. To prepare the RFP, you have to identify what the existing processes properly. That should be documented. Then the RFP time, if you can get the business process re-engineering also very important. But do these things is a very specialized jobs. These are what I'm saying, sometimes maybe theoretical. We need the people to do these things. So the independent consultant should be there. The pool of independent consultants should be established. So all these things should come together. So the existing methods, there is no especially the stakeholder engagement is very less. So the end users should come to the picture at the beginning. Then only they can give. These are the shortcomings of the existing processes. Shall we change these things? So like that. And also we should give the knowledge to them. The initial, in my framework, you can see the readiness is there. Readiness also not there sometimes. So these are the things.
So now I'd like to open the floor to the questions from audience. If there are any questions, please feel free to unmute or raise your hand if you'd like to ask a question.
Dr. Tilak, this is Zeenat. I like your research area because I also studied the e-revenue license process during my master's. Did you also come across the problem of employees in terms of change management?
Zeenat, please go ahead and ask.
Okay, hang on. I think you can't hear me.
Muted. Mute.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Okay. Dr. Tilak, I quite like your area of research because I also studied public sector ICT implementations for my master's. Did you come across a problem in terms of the employees? Do they factor in at all in this framework for change management?
Could you please repeat the question, Srinath?
Sorry, let me repeat myself. So in terms of change management, since you mentioned business process reengineering and also a framework for ICT projects to succeed, were the employees of these government departments reluctant to change? Were they playing any factor in the whole framework?
They are not reluctant. Nowadays, I told I am doing the paperless office concept for the Urban Development Ministry. They are very supportive. So this generation, especially new generation, they know the IT and they want to do the changes. So important thing is that the stakeholder engagement. Most of the projects, you forget about the.
The mic has to be.
Sorry. Tina, did you hear me earlier?
It was a little unclear, Sitila.
Okay. Right. I look. You can reduce the zero. You only to see so mute your speaker. Right. Right. Srinath's question is whether change management. No? So there is no resistance from the employees. They are very supportive. Actually, the government employees, I don't say they are lethargic. They are not lethargic. They are working very hard. Problem is the efficiency is very less because of the unnecessary processes. So therefore, if you get the stakeholder engagement properly, we don't work as a team most of the time. The top people get the decision, they ask to implement those things. At the time of implementing, actual requirement was not addressed of their employees. Then only the resistance comes from there. So therefore, I don't think there is a resistance for implementing the ICT project in the government sector. Second thing is, our intention should be good. Our intention should not be to reduce the people. Then the people may get they feel some risk about their job. We don't want to do that. So maybe after implementing the new process, some people may be excess, but we can employ them to some other area rather than they are removing from there. Because all these people have some experience that is very useful. All are very good resources. So therefore, answer to your question, there is no resistance at all, my experience.
Thank you, Mr. Tilak.
Srinath, you got the answer? Okay,
yes, I did. Yes, I did. And I think I also agree on that one. The employees do want a change because it changes their job role. And it makes life easier for them.
Yeah, that make easier to them actually.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. I am telling this very confidently because now also I am engaging in this one. Right? So they are very good actually, these employees.
Okay. So if there are any other questions, please feel free to ask. We can have like another 2 minutes maybe. So if you have any questions.
Araka, you have any question?
The mic.
Oh, no, Mr. Tilak from my end.
So, yeah, looks like there aren't any other questions from Sinath
Just ask.
about the question there. Okay. So, Sinath, are you there?
Yeah, I'm here.
Hello.
Yeah, Dr. Sajiv, I am here. Hello?
Yeah.
I don't have any other questions.
Okay. So, Tilak, he's asking like about your feedback. He would like to know about the feedback about this presentation. What is your opinion regarding that? This presentation, do you have any feedback?
I think we need to all share our research a bit more. So thank you so much for sharing your research, Dr. Tilak. Very timely also, given that the government is also in this direction. So thank you.
Okay.
I am going to present this to government, to the Deputy Minister IT, Mr. Iranga, I think. Yeah, he was an engineer.
So, all right. So once again, a heartfelt thank you to Dr. Tilak for this brilliant session. Your talk was not only informative, but also deeply inspiring, especially for students and professionals who aspire to make a meaningful impact in the ICT landscape. So we truly appreciate your time and wisdom, and we hope to have you with us again in the future. Thank you, everyone, for joining, and have a wonderful day ahead.
Right, thank you.